What is sustainable design? We see it almost everywhere, particularly on this channel, but what the heck is it? It's simply about reducing the negative impact on the planet caused by the construction and ongoing operations of buildings. To achieve this, there are basic principles that architects and designers apply when designing to create a more sustainable architecture, which, when you really think about it, it's about working with the environment, not against it. Let's take a look at 5 principles of sustainable design. There is no better way to heat and cool your home than using natural, free resources provided by Mother Nature. Of course, your own Pacific site conditions and climate will affect how much of this you can achieve, but ultimately you want to look at orientation, shading, and cross-flow ventilation. Here in the Southern Hemisphere, we aim to place our living areas with north-facing windows with carefully considered shading. During winter, the low-angle sun should penetrate deep into the living areas, falling below that shading device. However, in the height of summer, that same shading device should be preventing the high sun from hitting the glass and entering the home. There really isn't any comparison to a north-facing living space. And when it comes to passively cooling the home, note where the breezes are coming from and how particular window placements will allow for that breeze to flow through the home. Reducing your need to heat and cool your home will significantly reduce your carbon emissions. But this doesn't have to be overly complex. The key is having well-insulated walls, which will keep the heat out in summer, but also keep that in during winter. When you combine this with an airtight construction, double glazed windows, passive heating, cooling, and proper shading, you won't be reaching for the air conditioner remote so often. Aim to have your home carbon neutral in operation. In other words, get the gas out of the home. Gas in Australia has historically been used for cooking and hot water and even heating, but all of this can be electrified now. Installing solar panels as well as batteries can offset a lot or even all of your power needs. The average Australian household uses somewhere between 15 to 20 kilowatt hours a day, but this will also depend on how many people live there, the appliances, the lighting, the orientation, yada yada yada. And speaking of those appliances, consider your fridge, oven, dishwasher, cooktop, washing machine, lighting, and try to avoid more energy intensive appliances such as clothes dryers. A sufficient water tank can use captured rainwater to flush your toilets, wash clothes, and water the garden. It isn't necessarily about going completely off the grid, but more so reducing your impact and reliance on the grid. Less is more. Sustainable. Every square metre of the home impacts the environment. From the resources needed to build that space, to heating and cooling, to maintenance, to even the landfill that it will eventually end up in. I personally believe that one of the most sustainable homes you can build is one that is just the right size for you, with no excess or wasted space. Now, I'm not suggesting everyone should live in a tiny micro home or apartment, but I still encourage you to really interrogate how much space you actually need. You might find that you don't really need a 4th bedroom, a 3rd living room, and that double car garage. Less building, less impact. It really is that simple. It's definitely worth looking at your materials from a holistic standpoint, taking into consideration where it's coming from, how it may get installed to your home, whether it can provide thermal mass, does it serve more than one function, and what can happen with it once the home has reached its end of life. Using recycled material, such as brick or timber, not only gives you a well-told story and a beauty that comes with patina, but it is keeping perfectly fine materials out of landfill. And with that, the other aspect is waste, and looking to design with the material and using construction techniques that avoid wastage of the material. It can be dismantled and then reused eventually. There are other sustainability measures to consider, such as garden and landscape design, whether you live in an apartment, do you renovate or do you build a brand new home, where you actually live, and does that involve you having a strong reliance on a car? Acquiring a sustainable home isn't necessarily a checklist, where if you tick enough boxes, you can consider it sustainable. Instead, think of it like this. While you may not be able to achieve the best solar orientation due to your site, you may choose ultra-sustainable materials which will help to make up for that less than ideal orientation. Sustainable design doesn't need to be complex or expensive. A simple approach can result in your home being cheaper to run, healthier, more comfortable to live in, and is respectful of the climate and is kinder to the planet. So why isn't every home sustainable then?